In one of your TEDx talks, you'd spoken about how mythologies should be retold and contextualized according to the times that we live in. Why do you think that's important?
So, for a long time, my bio read illustrator, visual artist, storyteller. Storyteller was a very big thing for me because since I was little, I've I love to read. I was read out to a lot. I loved reading by myself. I was told stories by my grandmom, my granddad. Everything revolved around stories, really, because stories allow you to experience things that aren't around you, that you don't see every day. They allow you to see worlds that you have never seen before, that you may never get to see. A story is essentially a door into a completely new world. And that was always fascinating to me. So I think when I began telling my own stories in through my work, through my illustrations, through design, through art, through word, um, it that part of me was still very much alive, where I felt like the stories which we have been told for so many years, folk tales, things that have been passed on, these are like, it's like things in a museum. You preserve these objects, right? Because they tell you something about that time. They paint a picture of that time. They tell you about um, even like materials used in that time, wars. They tell you about rulers. They tell you about people who were everything. Punch. So for me, preserving stories is preserving history. It's preserving memories, it's preserving nostalgia. And I'm a big fan of preserving and documenting everything and recording everything. It's 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 I don't think there's anything that's more that can transport you as effectively and as magically as a good story can. And so my sister and I, both of us, we've always been very fascinated by mythology, by Indian mythology. And my parents and grandparents also would, they would tell us about it. We would have discussions about these stories. And later on in my final year of college, we had a course which was about Indian myths and how relevant they are. Should they be relevant? Should they be recontextualized? All of these questions. That's when I went back to those stories which I was told as a kid, and I started going through my understanding of each character, my understanding of the role each character played. And I realized that, sure, they were told in a certain time, they were told in a certain society by certain people. But sometimes, in order for the story to pass the test of time, there need to be new storytellers. There need to be storytellers who are from a new generation, who understand things differently, because the world has changed since those stories were told about, I mean, it looks very different now. You need new storytellers, and you need people to not not change or demean what was, but to try to understand it with a new lens, to present new ways of thinking. And as creatives, I feel like it's our responsibility almost to take what we have, put it through our lenses of understanding and our own biases, and put it out there for a reaction. That's what it is all about. So that's how I came to it. Long-winded answer.
But again, do you really think that myths like those, like take Ramayana, take Mahabharata for example, both of these, do you think they are even worth a retelling? Myths like these are rooted in religions that have long perpetuated a society based on the degradation of a certain group of people. Like
Sure.
even the Rakshasas in Mahabharata and even in
Absolutely.
Ramayana, those are the people who had darker skins, so
Yes.
that's again a concept of racism there, but again, can stories like that really be retold by looking at them without the kind of real world impact that they have had and still continue to have?
I feel like that's the only way we move forward, Punch, because all of us come from so many years of conditioning. Our families have gone through it, through generations of it. The only way to move forward is to assess and to be aware of what we had, what we have, and then you have that choice of, do I want to believe that? Do I want to live my life according to that? Do I want to have those biases? Or do I want to look at things differently now? Because it's not just those stories, right? It was about what was happening around. Right now we'll tell stories of what's happening around us. Maybe 10 years from now, people are going to disagree with how we did things or how we told things. The only way to move forward is to take what we have, process through it, and then retell it the way we see it. It'll be different. It may not be right, but I feel like it's important because unless we hashed out those stories and myths again right now, so much of this would never come to light. So much of what people have had to say about, now, like you said, the Rakshasas or people who were dark skinned instantly were termed as the villains, or the downtrodden, or, people who weren't worthy of basic, like, everything. Unless we look at these stories and unless we critically look at these stories, these notions will never come about. It's because people have looked at these stories in this way, and a diverse group of people, that we've come out with these versions and renditions. Otherwise, I just feel like otherwise we don't grow as a society. How do we evolve? We evolve through critical judgment, through awareness, through constantly rethinking if what our biases are they, what is it because of? Why are there notions that we are still carrying with us if they have no basis in society today? So I feel like unless we do that, how will we move ahead? You know?
I mean, the way I see it is quite different to yours.
Sure.
I feel like if we cling on to traditions and stories that have roots in oppression, the only way we can move forward as a society is to completely get rid of them. No amount of retelling, no amount of appropriation, bhi keh lo, no amount of any of this whitewashing will really help anyone who's been oppressed by the stories that have been told. Even when you look at the context in which any of these stories were come about,
Right.
they were written when Buddhism was declining in India.
Right.
And again, even if you look at a lot of Hindu monuments
Right.
across India, most of them are appropriated from Buddhism.
Correct.
So that's the kind of thing, right? If some religion that has such deep roots in oppression and degrading the other, I think the only way society can move forward is by complete denigration of that. No retelling, no nothing, just trash it all, is my opinion.
See, saying it's trash or
No, I'm sure it may have some redeeming values.
not just that, Punch, but I think it's more about changing mindsets. So the retelling is also to make you question your own beliefs. I come from certain beliefs, you come from certain beliefs. For us to understand each other, we need to first have a conversation with ourselves about, why do I believe this? Why do I still feel like it's okay for people to behave this way with other people? All of us are equal. So I feel like for things to change, your mindset needs to change. And that is where I feel retelling or recontextualizing helps. Because just saying that now this is not valid doesn't remove it from people's minds,
Yeah, sure.
behaviors, nature, right? Whereas this way, you can find a new way to look at it. I I don't think of, I mean, I don't look at the Mahabharata as this like, oh my god, like these gods and I worship everyone. All of them, why I chose the Mahabharata for my project was because they all were extremely grey characters. No one was perfect. Everyone had major issues. So for me, it was like people around me, and there's no need to put them on a pedestal because they've all been just as human as any of us. So that was why I chose that particular story as well. And seeing it through the lens of a woman made me look at the characters differently. um, it definitely made me question what I was told as a child, which I think is enough of an impact, you know.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think as society progresses, and we move towards understanding what these texts were and what they were the basis of, eventually they will become irrelevant. That's how I feel.
Eventually we will, I'm hoping, we move to just a more tolerant, equal, and tolerant, I think, covers it.
Tolerant covers
Space.
it, yeah.
Like, if not completely empathetic and, supportive, just tolerant.
Just tolerant.
Tolerant is fine.